Vallabha Giridharidhari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiret. Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nekshaki. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 8, Text number 14. Please repeat. Yasmin karma samavayo yatha yeno agrakyate chaiva parinamam abhishyatam yasmin karma samavayo yatha yenopagrahyate Guranam guninam chaiva parinamam abhishpatam yasmin karma samavayo yatha yenopagrahyate Guranam guninam chaiva parinamam abhishpatam
Yasmin karma samavayo yatayeno pagriyate Gunanam guninam chaiva parinamam avipsate
Yasmin karma samavayo yatayeno pagriyate Gunanam guninam chaiva parinamam abhipsatam
Yasmin karma samavayo yatayeno pagriyate Gunanam guninam chaiva parinamam abhishpatam
Yasmin karma samavayo yatayeno pagriyate Gunanam guninam chaiva parinamam abhipsatam
What meaning? Yasmin. In which karma, actions, samavayaha, accumulation, yatha, as far as, yena, by which, upagrihyate, takes over, gunanam, of different modes of material nature, guninam, of the living beings, cha, also, eva, certainly, parinamam, resultant, abhipshatam, of the desires. Translation is to Veneration of Prabhu. Then again, kindly describe how the proportionate accumulation of reactions resulting from the different modes of material nature act upon desiring living beings, promoting or degrading him among the different species of life, beginning from the demigods down to the most insignificant creatures. Thank you. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The action and reactions of all works in the material modes of nature, either in the minute form or in the gigantic form, or accumulated, and thus the result of such accumulated actions and reactions of karma or work become manifested in the same proportion. How such actions and reactions takes place, what the different procedures are, and in what proportion they act are all subject matters of Maharaj Parikshit inquiries. From the great Brahmana Sukadeva Goswami, life in the higher planets, known as the abode of the denizens of heaven, is obtained not only by the strength of the spacecraft, as is now being contemplated by the inexperienced scientist, but by work done in the mode of goodness. Even on the very planet where we are now living, there are restrictions upon the entrance of foreigners into a country where the citizens are more prosperous. For example, the American government has many restrictions for the entrance of foreigners from less prosperous countries. The reason is that Americans do not wish to share their prosperity with any foreigner who has not qualified himself as a citizen of America. Similarly, the same mentality is prevailing in every other planet where there are more intelligent living beings residing. The higher planetary living conditions are all in the mode of goodness, and anyone desiring to enter the higher planets like the moon, sun, and Venus must qualify thoroughly by activity in complete goodness. Maharaj Parikshit inquiries are on the basis of proportionate actions of goodness, which qualified one in this planet to be promoted to the higher regions of the universe. Even on this planet of our present residence, one cannot achieve a good position within the social order without being qualified with proportionate good work. One cannot forcibly sit on the chair of a high court judge without being qualified for the post. Similarly, one cannot enter in the higher planetary system without being qualified for the good works in this life. Persons addicted to the habits of passion and ignorance have no chance of entering the higher planetary system simply by an electronic mechanism. According to the statement of the Bhagavad Gita, the persons trying to qualify themselves for the promotion to the higher heavenly planets can go there. Similarly, persons trying to go to the Pitrulokas can go there. Similarly, persons trying to improve the conditions of this earth can also do that. Persons who are engaged in going back home, back to Godhead, can achieve that result too. The various actions and reactions of work in the mode of goodness are generally known as pious work with the devotional service, culture of knowledge with devotional service, mystic powers with devotional service, and at last, devotional service unmixed with any other varieties of goodness. This unmixed devotional service is transcendental and is called Parabhakti. It is alone can promote a person to the transcendental kingdom of God. Such a transcendental kingdom is not a myth, but is as factual as the moon. One must have transcendental qualities to understand the kingdom of God and God Himself. Hari Om Tat Sat. Jnana-timirandasya jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam yena bhutale Swayam Rupa Katamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Mukam Karoti Vachanam Pangum Langayate Giram Yatkripa Tamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gauravakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vanchakalpadurugishcha Kripasindubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna. Yasmin karma samavayo yatha yeno upagrahyate gunanam guninam chaiva parinamam abhipshatam. So this chapter is King Parikshit is asking a lot of questions to Shukadeva Goswami, and you will see that Shukadeva Goswami will begin to answer the next chapter, and actual answers will come in the chapter after that. So the title of that chapter is Srimad Bhagavatam is the answer for all questions, something like that. Bhagavatam is the answer to all questions. Right? So these questions are the seed for the further discussion in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So a few days back, Mother Nanakeri also mentioned every discussion is actually the source of knowledge. So Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, they all happen to be discussions between great souls. So these discussions, these questions that Maharaj Parikshit is asking will be the seed for the further discussions. And as Prabhupada has titled the chapter, Srimad Bhagavatam is the answer for all the questions. So in this particular verse, we see that Parikshit Maharaj is interested to understand the verses can be understood in two different ways. Yasmin karma samavayo yatha yeno upagrahete. So if you just focus on the first two lines, karma samavayo yatha yeno upagrahete. So by which karma, what is achieved? Grahete means you achieve. Gunanam guninam chaiva parinamam abhipshitam. So the gunas and the guni. The guni is the performer or the one who has those gunas. And how does this guna make the person who has the gunas act in a different way? So that is what the translation Prabhupada has translated as. So they kindly describe how the proportionate accumulation of actual reactions, different modes of material nature, promoting or degrading among the different species of life, beginning from the demigods down to the most insignificant creatures. So how the different modes of material nature act upon the desiring living entity. So gunana guninam chaiva. So other way to look at it is so yasmin karma samavayo yatha yena upagrahete. So here yatha is indicating the previous verses. The previous verses, we see that in the 12th verse, we see also please explain the duration of time, creation, annihilation, and that of subsidiary creations. Please explain the duration, measurement of life, different living beings known as demigods, human beings, etc. The different planets of the universe. So, Parikshit is asking yatha, just like how I asked before. So, how do someone achieve this position of the demigods? How do I achieve the position of these different denizens of the people who live in the higher state of material realm? So, what is the way to achieve that? So, that is a question. Another way to that's the translation that is actually we see from the purport. Also, the Srila Prabhupada is mentioning about the higher planets. How can one achieve the higher planets? Easy journey to higher planets. So, and this is also there in Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. So, he writes in the commentary. So, Gunanam Sattvadinam Parinamam Devadi Rupam Bipsatam Guninam Jivanam Yasmin Pariname Karmanam Sukrita Dushkrita Yoga Jnanam Bhaktinam Samavaya Samudaya Sambhavati Tam Katata. So please tell me, Katata means tell me, that what kind of an action, good action, pious action, impious action, can lead one to achieve Devadi Rupa Abhipsata. So higher planetary, the being able to live in higher planetary systems, the getting a position in higher planetary systems. So here also Srila Prabhupada is talking about to go to the higher planetary system, one has to be qualified. And he's citing an example in the material world to go to different countries within this earth planet. So you need to have a visa, you need to have certain qualifications. And the visa is granted based on certain qualifications. You have the qualifications to be in, and skilled worker, do you have qualifications to be a certain thing, that's when you're allowed to a certain country, like America, for example. So, because American government, as Prabhupada is mentioning here, they don't want everybody to come here. Only people who are qualified, or people who add some value to the country, so they want them to come here. So, if that was the case, so the higher planetary system also, that should be the same rule. So, higher planetary system also, you need to have certain qualification to enter. So, and the qualification, the currency that sells there, especially in the heavenly planets, is pious actions. So by doing pious actions, one accumulates enough pious credits, so one goes to the heavenly planets. And then one enjoys a lot of material happiness and a lot of comforts. And then we see from Bhagavad Gita that Shrine Punye Matyarokam Vishanti. That after one finishes all the pious credits, after he is exhausting all the pious credits that he has accumulated in the heavenly planets by enjoying, so he comes down again back to this Martyaloka, or the place where the normal human beings live. The same thing applies to the hellish planets also. So if one does not have enough pious credits, so they have to go down to the hellish planets, and they have to go through different sufferings, tribulations in the hellish planets. We see from the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam how there are for different sinful actions. There are so many different hellish planets. And one has to be for a certain amount of time there and undergo a lot of different punishments. And after he undergoes all those corrections, then he comes back to back to this Martyaloka. So Martyaloka is like a launch pad. So you can launch yourself to the higher realms, or you can degrade down to the lower realms. So that's all there in our hands. So unfortunately, the people, human beings especially, so they're not aware of this wonderful opportunity, how we can launch ourselves to the higher planets. So instead they use all their time in sensual pursuits, in trying to make themselves comfortable in this material situation. They don't think beyond this particular life. So after life, they don't think about it. Whereas the Vedic culture is rooted in how one can progress towards higher realms in the next life. So in Bhagavad Gita also Krishna says that Ya imam pushpitam vacham pravadante avipaschitaha vedavadaratapanta nanyat astiti vadina kamat manas vargapara. So you do all these pious actions so that you can enter into the Swarga or heavenly planets. So that is so one should aspire for something higher. So that is why Vedas are always trying to encourage everybody to go to the next strata. And so actually that is actually the Krama Mukti. So that's what in the Vedic culture or the Vedic teachings, it encourages you to go step by step, improve your situation of life, improve your consciousness, elevate your consciousness. Urdham gacchati sattataha. So when you cultivate the mode of goodness, you do pious activities. When you do pious activities, you elevate to higher planets. So that should be your motive. That should be your motto. So you should always try to elevate yourself from where you are today. So that way even if you go to the heavenly planets, that doesn't change. The goal is to further elevate yourself to the higher planets. So from the Bhuloka, go to Swar, Mahar, Jana, Tapa, then Satyam, all the way to the Brahmaloka. So that is the goal. That's called Krama Mukti. So you slowly elevate yourself from the lower state of life, from the lower living entities, from lower species of life, come to the human platform. From the human platform, you slowly elevate yourself to the higher planetary systems, then further go up all the way to Brahmaloka. So people who live in Brahmaloka, so they are almost perfect. Lord Brahma is the most perfect person. And everybody in Brahmaloka has earned that position because of performing continuous pious activities. So people go to Swargaloka and then they get bewildered by all the enjoyments and all the different comfort that is available there. So they get bewildered and they try to enjoy, forget themselves, and they fall down back to this Matya Loka. But those who continue to do the pious activities, those who continue to remembering Vishnu and identifying themselves as servants of Vishnu. The demigods know that they are servants of Vishnu, but sometimes they forget themselves and do certain activities which is not befitting the position of a servant of Vishnu. And then they fall down sometimes. Even last class I was mentioning about how Indra was cursed to become a pig, and then he fell down to this earthly planet. For a long time he was living a life of a pig. The same way, but the goal is that the one continues to arise from that platform, go to higher and higher realms of material realms, come to the Brahma Loka. In the Brahma Loka, you continue to be focused about your end goal, that is service to Vishnu, and then continue to perform, keeping the focus, and then all the way you become Brahma. And when Brahma becomes liberated, Brahma ends his life, end of his life, he gets the mukti. And along with him, all the denizens, all the residents of Brahma Loka, they also get mukti. So that is called Krama Mukti. So you go by step elevation all the way to the Brahma Loka, and then get mukti. So that is the process that is understood generally by the different Vedic followers. So they always try to promote themselves to higher planetary systems. And especially in the Madhva Sampradaya, that's the way that they think that one can attain mukti. So one has to go through this Krama Mukti and slowly elevate himself to the point of Brahma and then go to the point of mukti. So that's a long process, right? So even in his own lifetime, to continue to perform devotional service, so many challenges. And to go to higher planetary system and not be bewildered by all these comforts available to you, that's going to be really a big challenge. So unless there is so much of problems in our life, it's very difficult to focus on Krishna. So we will be easily bewildered by it. If there's so much comforts, this coronavirus is a boon in one way. It has made people think about their life, think about their way they're living their life. And one of my colleagues was, she's from Indian background. So I was always used to tell her, why don't you stop eating meat? Why don't you stop doing all these things? Very sinful, I used to tell her. She used to acknowledge. But once this news of coronavirus came, she herself came and told me, I think I should stop eating meat. It's because it's all coming from this. So people's unnatural habits that they have started following because of their non-devotional lifestyle. So people, especially we see how in China, how this whole coronavirus started. So it has come from some bats to the humans. And all this, before the coronavirus, we had SARS, we had MERS, all these things it is said to have come from bats or some other animals. So this unnatural lifestyle based upon sense gratification for the sake of satisfying one's senses is the source of all problems. So here also we see in the Bhagavatam verse, Ipshitam. Ipshitam means desire, of the desires. So Parinamam Ipshitam. So desires leads to different kinds of results, certain reactions. So one has to cultivate good desires. That is the only thing that is there in our control. So as a soul, the Atma is completely powerless to do anything unless there is a permission from the Supreme Lord, the Paramatma. So Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita also, Upadrishta Anumanta. So Paramatma is the Upadrishta Anumanta. Upadrishta means the foreseer who is seeing your activities, and Anumanta means one who gives permission. So these two things is taken care of by Paramatma. So we are just, actually the Bhagavad Gita we see in the 13th chapter very beautifully describes how does Karya Karana Kartrutve Prakritir Hetu Uchite. Purushaha Sukha Dukkhana Bhoktrutve Hetu Uchite. So, this Kartrutva means the doership. So, who is the real doer? So, the real doer we see from Bhagavad Gita. There are three doers. So, it is. What are the three doers? Can you? From Bhagavad Gita, 13th chapter.
Modes of material nature.
Yes, Mother.
Modes of material nature.
Modes of material nature, yes. Very nice. There are other two doers as well.
Satyagam?
Sorry?
Satyagam, the knower of the field? No.
Yeah,
That's right, that's it.
knower of the field, but who is the person? Who is that doer?
The jiva is the knower.
Jiva
of
is
the
also a
field.
doer. And who is the third one?
Parabrahma.
Yeah, Paramatma. So there are three doers for every action. So one is a doer because he desires to do. That is the Atma. So he desires to do. And the actual, it is carried out by material nature. So our body, the laws of physics, the laws of chemistry, it's all material nature. So we desire to do, and somebody carries it out. And the material nature carries it out. That's what it says, Karya Karana Kartrutve Hetu Prakriti Uchite. Prakriti is the Hetu, the cause. Although it's an indirect cause. But it starts from the desire. And the desire also, in one sense, is caused with Prakriti. As Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, next verse he says, Purushaha Prakriti Stohi Bhuktve Prakriti Jangunan Karanam Gunasangasya Sat Asat Yoni Janmashu. So, Purushaha, the Atma, the living entity, when he is situated in the Prakriti, Prakriti Stohi, what happens? Bhuktve Prakriti Jangunan. So, he tries to enjoy his position, his situation. So, Karanam Gunasangasya. So, then he becomes afflicted by the material nature. That's what we otherwise say in many words. Prabhupada keeps telling. We become a victim of the illusion, victim of Maya. So why does it happen? Because we desire, in the first place, to be situated in that Prakriti, the material nature, the inferior nature of Krishna. So once we desire to go there, then we become a victim of material nature. So we have no control further. So we become influenced with the three modes of material nature. That's what Prabhupada also says here. How these different modes of material nature act upon the desiring living entity. So, Gunanam, Guninam, Chaiva. So, Gunina means one who possesses those gunas, how he becomes afflicted by those gunas, and how he acts in different ways. So, that's how it happens. So, we first situate ourselves in a Prakriti, the lower modes, the modes of material nature. Then, because of the Guna Sangha, Karanam Guna Sangasya, we are put in different Sad, Asat, Yoni, Janmashu, in different species of life. So just because of the wrong identification, Deha Abhimana, because we identify ourselves with this body, we become victims of these gunas. So the first step, that's why Prabhupada always insists upon that we are not the body, we are the spirit soul. Because that's the first step to come out of that Prakriti Stohi, being situated in that material Prakriti. And we have to, our only choice, our desire we have only two choices here. So one is to choose between the material nature or choose between the higher spiritual nature. So once we desire to come out of the material nature, then we can slowly elevate ourselves to the spiritual nature by means of sadhana, by means of the mercy, kripa siddhi and sadhana siddhi. Both are required. So our own effort is required and Krishna's mercy is also required. So then we can elevate ourselves to the higher realm and we can be situated as in the service of Krishna and not be afflicted with the modes of material nature. But coming back to this point of discussion, that how once someone is afflicted with the modes of material nature, it's not an easy process to come out of it because it is a struggle. The easy thing is to go along with the flow, in the downstream, So if you're on a river, it's very easy to, if you're on a boat, it's very easy to go downstream. You don't have to put any effort. The river carries you along. And then you automatically go downstream. And but only when you realize going downstream is not my destination, it is not where I really want to go, and then you have to go upstream. Then you have to struggle a little bit. You have to put effort, and there'll be a lot of challenges. There'll be always a force against you, and that's when our effort is required. But our effort is just a small part. It's the mercy of Krishna who actually pulls us. But he wants to see our sincerity. He wants to see how sincere we are in really going upstream, in really going against the tide towards the destination where we want to go. So when you put that effort, so Prabhupada mentioned in many places that if you take 1 step towards Krishna, he comes 16 steps towards you. So that effort is required, that sincerity is required. You have to continuously make that effort. Come to the Mangalarti, come to the Darshanarti, and keep chanting 16 rounds, and keep doing your regulative principles. So that effort is required, a little bit of effort. Prabhupada has mentioned many times. So all it requires is you follow the 16 rounds and then follow the 4 regulative principles, then I promise you, I'll take you back home, back to God. So that's the simplest thing that we have to do. But even for that, there's so much of struggle. Struggle is more because we are putting ourselves into this Prakriti Stovi. We are desiring to be in the material modes. That desire is binding us, is pulling us down. But if someone is, for a simple devotee, if his desires are sincere and pure, it's very easy to make progress in Krishna consciousness. So we see so many people who are coming to Krishna consciousness to make so much nice progress. And but we continue to be stuck in the same place for years and years. So that's all because of our desire is not sincere. So Ipshatam, the desire is the most important thing. So our desire should always, at least if you cannot desire to, so if you cannot, so Prabhupada mentions in one place that you should cry to become a devotee. So if you cannot cry to become a devotee, then you should cry, because you are not able to cry to become a devotee. So we have to constantly, we have this, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur also mentions, every day in the morning you should get up and you should beat your mind with slippers, with shoes. This mind is the agent of the mind. 3 places where the lust sits. One is mind, intelligence and senses. So these 3 places. So this three dwaram, 3 ways, 3 doors to hell. The Bhagavad Gita Krishna says. So we have to constantly purify our senses, purify our mind. The senses are the doorway, right? So first you purify the senses by engaging in Krishna's service, and that purifies the mind automatically, because the mind is the reins. The senses are the horses, and the mind is the reins. So when the senses are controlled, the horses control, not difficult to hold the reins. The intelligence also becomes, by reading Bhagavad Gita, we worship Krishna with our intelligence. Intelligence gets purified. We get spiritual intelligence. And then it's very easy to make progress towards Krishna consciousness. So, there has always been effort here. We see from Puranas, from the Itihasas, Puranas, there has been constant effort by demons and people to elevate themselves to the higher realms without being properly qualified. So there's one story of, I would like to cite here, of Trishanku. Trishanku was a king in the Ikshvaku dynasty. So much before Rama came in the Ikshvaku dynasty. So Trishanku was actually a very noble king. And he was ruling as per Dharma for a long time. And his guru was Vasishta. He's the Kula Guru for the entire Solar dynasty, Ikshvaku dynasty. So, but he had a peculiar desire came in his mind. And that desire was that he wants to be elevated to the heavenly planets, which is okay, which is a nice desire, nothing wrong about it. But he wants to be elevated to the heavenly planets with the same body, the same material body made up of earth. So he wanted to go to the heavenly planets without having to die. So he expressed his desire to his guru, Vasishta. So when he expressed his desire to Vasishta Muni, so he said, it's not possible. Why do you have such weird desires? So you continue to perform your dharma. Then at the end of your life, you will be ascending to the heavenly planets. There's nothing. That's the proper, the krama way to do it. But why are you having such desires? But he was not convinced. So he went on thinking that, okay, if my guru is not going to help me, let me go to somebody else. So he went on he was just traveling to do outside his country, and he met with a few of the disciples of his guru, Vasishta. And he said, he tempted them, I will give you a lot of wealth, I will give you a lot of things that I have. Please do ritual for me so that you can elevate me to the heavenly planets. So they become very upset. How can you even ask such a question? Already your guru has rejected the proposal and you're coming to us and tempt us. So then they actually cursed him that you don't deserve to be a king. You should just become a Chandala. Chandala means who is outside the Vedic society. So his whole lustre, bodily lustre, everything fades away. Then he becomes a Chandala and he is put outside the country. He is no more the king anymore. So he's not able to give up the desire. He continues to travel. Then finally he comes to meet Vishwamitra. So Vishwamitra has an ongoing tussle with Vasishta. So they always compete with each other. So when he heard the story of how Vasishta had rejected this proposal, so Vishwamitra wanted to take the challenge. Okay, I will help you. I will help you go to the heavenly planets. I will make sure that you go there. So I will do the ritual that is required. So Vishwamitra, so he starts doing the ritual to elevate him to the heavenly planets. It goes for many years. And finally with this all this ritual, he elevates him to the heavenly planets, the same body. So this what's the name of the person? Trishanku. Trishanku goes to the heavenly planets by Vishwamitra's rituals. And there, once he enters to the heavenly planets, all the denizens of heaven, they see him. How can he even enter in such a body? You are not qualified. So they just push him back. They don't even let him inside. They push him out of the heavenly planets. So he falls down to the heavenly planets. Then he is crying for help. So Vishwamitra sees that he is falling down. And then he stops him there. Uses his tapashakti, all his austerities to stop him from falling down. And he understands what has happened. And he summons all the demigods. 7 demigods, they come there. And then the demigods said, he asked them, why do you don't let him inside? I have put him all the way to put off so much of rituals and have elevated him to the heavenly planets. How can you even push him like this? But the denizens of heaven, Indra said, that's not possible. Nobody can enter the heavenly planets in the same body. He doesn't have the body that is meant for living in heavenly planets. So he cannot live that way. So then Vishwamitra, so he decides that I will create a separate heavenly planet for him, and where he can live. He doesn't have to go to the real heaven, but it will be a false heaven that he will create. So he created a planet called Trishanku planet. And Trishanku is still there today, that planet. The point here is that here Prabhupada is also mentioning is, even on this planet of present residence, one cannot achieve a good position. So one cannot forcibly sit on a chair of a high court judge. Similarly, one cannot enter into a high planetary system without being qualified by good works in this life. And so, the same way it is said that Ravana also, he wanted to construct steps for someone to elevate from this planet to the heavenly planet. But he failed in the attempt. So like that, demons, they always try to disrupt the existing order of the Supreme Lord. They always want to break the rules. They always want to do things, get things achieved without proper qualification. So That's what is we are seeing historically. We see the Puranas, the Itihasas. Ravana is a good example of that. So we should not try to attempt anything that is not recommended in the Shastras. Rather, the easiest thing to do is, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, that one should worship Krishna. Yanti deva vrata devan, pitra yanti pitra vrata, bhutani yati bhutejya, yanti madhyajiripam apimam. So one who worships me, he comes to me. One who worships demigods, they go to demigods. One who worships the Pitrus, they go to Pitrulok. So like that, one should, best thing is to worship Krishna. And the easiest way to do that is chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. So it is concluded by all the scriptures that the best place where we can always remain without any kind of anxiety is Vaikuntha. Kunta means anxiety, Vaikuntha means there is no anxiety. So if you really want a peaceful life, a life without any anxiety, any suffering, so the best place is to desire to go to the Krishna's abode. So we should desire to Yanti Deva, Yanti Madhyajino Pima. So one should desire to go to his abode. That's a very legitimate desire. It's legitimate to desire to go to get liberation, go to Krishna's place. Although the best desire is, what is the highest desire? Prema Kumarto Maha. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mentioned, quoted from the Puranas in discussion with the different scholars. He mentioned that highest desire one can have is bhakti. So when bhakti is there, mukti automatically comes. Mukti is the sister of bhakti. We already saw in the weeks before how bhakti was, the goddess bhakti was there and mukti was her sister. So mukti automatically comes when there is bhakti. But highest desire is to be ready for anything to please Krishna. Krishna wants us to go to hellish planets, devotees should be ready to go to hellish planets. So that is what is the highest desire. So Najanam, what is the verse from Shikshashtakam? Nadanam, Najanam, Nasundari, Kavita, Majagati, Shakani, Mama Janmani, Janmanishwari, Bhavata, Bhakti, Rahaitukite. So whether we should not desire for anything, we should only desire for the service for Krishna, nothing else. And I would like to stop here. If there are any questions or any comments?
It seems like an easy way to think about that story you were telling is that he wasn't successful because he did not follow the instruction of the spiritual master. The spiritual master said, no, that's not the right way. He said, oh, forget him, I'm just going to go on. And so ultimately, he did not listen to the spiritual master, so he did not get his destination.
Perfect. Nicely concluded. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Yogendra Prabhu mentioned this, and you mentioned the same thing about doing pious activities will go to heavenly planets. I've heard this, but I don't know whether that's right. That's why I'm asking you. Say, for some instance, the devotees, they're not like really first-class devotees. They've been pious, they've been nice, and this and that. And then someone said, I'm not sure where I heard it, they said from heavenly planets, you mentioned and Yogendra Prabhu mentioned, from heavenly planets you come down and start all over. But you have enough credit, I heard, from there, when you're done with your credits, you can still go up, but it's a little harder. Am I right or wrong? I don't know.
Yes, you're right. Because it's more harder because there are so many distractions there. There's so much of comfort there. So it's difficult to follow Dharma. If you continue to follow Dharma, you'll be elevated higher and higher planets. But because of so much of distractions, just like in this world itself, if there's so much comfort, it's hard to think about Krishna. Same way in heavenly planets, because of so much of comfort and luxury and enjoyment, it's difficult for them to think about Krishna, or difficult for them to perform Dharma. That's why it is said in the Kali Yuga, the demigods, they want to take birth in this Kali Yuga. So that because Sankirtan movement is there, and there's a lot of difficulty in this Kali Yuga, and they're automatically forced to think about God. But whereas you're right in saying that if they can continue to perform dharma in the heavenly planets, they continue to elevate themselves further and further. But elevating further and further is not really enjoyment there. If you go to higher planetary systems, after the Swargaloka there is Mahar, Janar and Tapasloka. So as you can see, there is all people who are sages who are living there. They are saintly people who are focused in meditation all the time. So what is the fun in being there? There is no fun like in heavenly planets. It's more and more tougher. But they continue to perform dharma higher and higher, so that they go to Brahma Loka. Their desire is to elevate themselves to Brahma Loka. But there's always a danger of falling down. So it is not a good proposal to go through this slow
It's much
elevation.
harder.
It's very hard. The easiest process is to think about Krishna's lotus feet and go to the highest destination instead of going through this step-by-step process.
Another one I had, you just mentioned about mind, intelligence. So when we have situations that we are in, to put that in practice, unless you have learned, everything comes from the mind, it's difficult. I had to go through a certain instance a few days ago, and I was telling my daughter, and the son-in-law, it's the mind. We are looking at it in a certain way, but it's not that. It's just our mind telling us. And then it somehow doesn't work for my son-in-law. He was a certain way today, and he woke up the next day was like a new person. Because if we got to tell, it's time to practice, or if we see this incident or something is coming out of the mind, we need to identify that. That's sometimes harder, it's like our ego or our problems or whatever it is, But to identify really, truly, if you think it's coming from the mind and you try to help others also, even if you think this person is doing me bad, this, that, but don't worry about that. You do the right thing. Make some cakes, you do the right thing. It's so hard for people to do that sometimes because of the ego, they get upset. They're thinking in their mind, this is what they're doing. But truly it's not like that, We need to practice what we learn, that's a little harder part. I'm talking about myself, But I was able to use that this last week, and it worked, It's just like day and night,
Yeah. Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita, 6th chapter, that Arjuna is saying that it's difficult to control the mind. You can even control the wind, but you cannot control the mind. It's that difficult. So, mind is it's like a monkey. It keeps jumping all the time. The only way to regulate that is through the senses. When we have good practice, good sadhana, senses are properly engaged in Krishna's service. That's why the mind can be retained. Otherwise the mind is flowing downstream all the time. So modes of material nature that is coming with our time of birth from the previous life that controls the mind. It always keeps telling us different things. Because the modes is always acting on us. It's because we put ourselves in that prakriti. So to be elevated, come out of that, placate ourselves from that situation, the only way to do sadhana and purify the senses.
It's so true what you said. Very true, Unless you practice, unless you've experienced this thing, it's hard, to know. And because we get angry, we get upset, we just think, this one is doing this, I'm going to do that, But let that one do whatever it's doing, but you always do the right thing. That you need to have your mind and your senses like aware of it, It's hard to do, but we have to try, keep trying.
Keep trying.
Thank you so much for your class.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Go repeat my Trisanku.
I heard the Trisanku story when I was a small child.
There it is.